Hi guys, Olive here today to tell you what I'm going to be reading in August of 2018. This TBR is going to be a little different than the normal TBR in the fact that about half of this TBR is going to be composed of random books off of my TBR list on Goodreads. If you have been watching my TBR videos for any length of time, then you probably know that for the past year and a half, I have been selecting one book at random off of my TBR to read each month. I have had a ton of success choosing books using this method. A bunch of my favorite books of last year were books that I picked using this method. And I was having so much fun choosing books this way last year that I handed over almost an entire month's TBR to random selections. And I want to do the same thing this year. But before I start my random selections, I would like to tell you about the 5 books that I had already planned on reading in August. The book I will be reading off of my 2018 Classics TBR list is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. This is a book about a woman who finds herself unfulfilled by marriage and by motherhood. This has been one that I've been really eager to read. And on a similar note, I am also planning to reread The Wife by Meg Wolitzer. I read this a few years ago and really enjoyed it. This is all about a woman named Joan who, on a flight to Helsinki, where she and her husband are traveling so that he can accept a prestigious literary award, she decides to leave him after many years of marriage. The book then goes backward in time and shows how Joan and her husband first met, shows the entirety of their marriage, and you start to get the picture of why she wants to leave him. I have been wanting to reread this book for a very long time, and I thought August would be a good time for me to reread it, not only because I think there will be some interesting parallel themes when I am reading Madame Bovary, but also because a movie adaptation of this book is due to be released this month starring Glenn Close. I am not usually the biggest movie person, but I am planning to go see that movie, so then maybe I could do a comparison like I did with Sweet Bitter. Who knows? The book off of my young professional TBR that I am planning to read this month is called The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine by Michael Lewis. This book tells the story of 4 different individuals who are entirely outside of the world of high finance, who successfully predicted the most recent financial crisis. I know this book also got a film adaptation, so if I find myself in a movie mood this month, perhaps I will watch that after I read this book. During August, I would also really like to read The Lessons by Naomi Alderman, who is the author of The Power, who was last year's winner of the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. I don't know a ton about this book, besides that it is a campus novel and is compared very frequently to The Secret History. This time of year, I really crave campus novels when school is getting ready to start again, regardless of the fact that I am no longer in school. I think late summer, early fall is the perfect time to read campus novels, so toward the end of August, I am hoping to pick this book up. And the last non-random book that I am planning to read in August is called Ecstasy by Mary Sherratt. This is a piece of historical fiction set in early 20th century Vienna, and we follow Alma Mahler, who was a real-life composer and socialite. Though I never ended up making a video about my most anticipated releases of 2018, had I made such a video, this book would definitely have been on that list. So when I was out book shopping with Maeve over at Scribble Maven, and she picked this book up of her own accord because it has an absolutely gorgeous cover, I mentioned that I think it would be a great idea for her to pick it up, considering I was a big fan of one of Mary Sherratt's earlier books called The Daughters of the Witching Hill. Maeve ended up picking up a physical copy of this book from the bookstore when we were shopping, and a few weeks later I picked up an ebook when it was on special. So we decided that we would buddy read this together, and I'm really excited about it. And now it is time for the most exciting part of this video, the random selections. So I decided that I would be picking 6 books at random. That seems like a decent number for me. So if I'm keeping to the same ratio of picking 3 books at random and then choosing 1, I'm going to pick 18 books at random off of my Goodreads TBR so that I can choose 6 of them. All right, I have picked my 18 options. I will tell you what the 18 different books are before I tell you which 6 I have picked. Option number 1 is The 10,000 Year Explosion: How Civilization Accelerated Human Evolution by Gregory Cochrane. Option number 2, The Headmaster's Wife by Thomas Christopher Green. Option number 3, Mosquito: A Natural History of Our Most Persistent and Deadly Foe by Andrew Spielman. Option number 4, Swing Time by Zadie Smith. Option number 5, The Secret Life of Pronouns: What Our Words Say About Us by James W. Pennebaker. Option number 6, Sunset and Sawdust by Joe R. Lansdale. Option number 7, Birds, Myth, Lore, and Legend by Rachel Warren Chad and Marianne Taylor. Option number 8, Amatka by Karen Tidbeck. Halfway through, option number 9 is St. Petersburg, Shadows of the Past by Katrina Kelly. Option 10 is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Option number 11, The Mind of the Raven, Investigations and Adventures with Wolfbirds by Bernd Heinrich. Option number 12, The Year of the Comet by Sergei Lebedev. 13 is Franklin and Eleanor, An Extraordinary Marriage by Hazel Rowley. Option 14 is The Ghost Apple by Aaron Thier. Option 15 is Dark Banquet, Blood and the Curious Lives of Blood-Feeding Creatures by Bill Shutt. Option 16 is The Book of Speculation by Erica Swiler. Option 17 is Rain, A Natural and Cultural History by Cynthia Barnett. And my very last option, option number 18, is The Parentations by Kate Mayfield. So now I will tell you which 6 of those I selected and give you my reasoning behind it. Firstly, I was giving priority to those books that I already own. As you well know, I own a lot of books and I do a lot of book hauls. A lot of books are coming into my life at any given time, and I like books to also be leaving at about the same rates. So that was my first consideration, but my second consideration was just what I'm in the mood for. So as I said earlier in the video, I am in the mood right now for campus novels. So I did end up choosing The Ghost Apple by Aaron Thier, considering this is set at a college campus in the Caribbean. This college is having a lot of trouble generating revenue, so they are forced to team up with a big snack food corporation. And since we are still in the dog days of summer here in Pittsburgh, I also decided to pick up Sunset and Sawdust. Although I am not typically a fan of Western novels, this one appealed to me quite a while ago. It is set in Depression-era Texas, and a woman kills her husband, who seems to have it coming. But things get even more interesting considering this same woman, whose name is Sunset, is named Constable of this town. So you can probably see why this one appealed to me. And because I am constantly picking up books on birds, since I find them so fascinating, but I'm certainly not reading them at the same rate that I'm acquiring them, I would also like to read Birds, Myth, Lore, and Legend. Of those 18 options, I am also choosing to pick up The Parentations by Kate Mayfield. I don't know a ton about this book, but I do know that it is a fantasy that jumps around in space and time, and I know that Holly from Holly Dunn Design really enjoyed this one. That was good enough for me. My 5th random selection will be Dark Banquet by Bill Shutt. I've been really excited to read this one ever since I finished Bill Shutt's book on cannibalism last year. If you missed my drunk review of that one, be sure to go check it out. I loved Bill Shutt's writing and his humor in that book, so I have a very strong feeling that I'm going to love this one as well. And the last book that I am going to pick off of that list of 18 was too cool of a coincidence to pass up, so I am selecting The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. And this is a cool coincidence that it was on this list of 18 books because this is Mary Elizabeth Braddon's retelling of Madame Bovary, which is a book that I was already planning to read this month. This is one of several reasons why I love picking books randomly. You get cool stuff like this happening all the time. So those were all of the books on my random book dominated August TBR. If you've read any of these books, if you've heard of them, or if you're now interested in reading them after hearing me talk about them, I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. Or if you'd like to chat with me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media, and the links to all of those profiles are linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!